because the target of these actions, by admission of top Israeli leaders, is the permanent annexation of the Palestinian territory and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. It is a self-incriminating admission that debunks the security sham they used to justify their genocide. This legal and moral crisis is not 18 months old. Israel has been systematically dispossessing, uprooting, slaughtering and imprisoning Palestinians in absolute flagrant disregard for international law and the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people for 80 years now. It has done so with the intent to destroy our people and to thwart the realization of self-determination in their homeland. To implement this policy, Israel has waged a relentless campaign of erasure against Palestinian people, their demography, their material presence, their national identity, their history and heritage, and their very humanity. This campaign of erasure was a central hallmark of the Nakba that started in 1947, and whose darkest chapter yet unfolding before our eyes and yours. On 19 July 2024, this court also ruled that Israel's presence in and control over the occupied Palestinian territory is unlawful and must come to an end. The court also ruled that despite the illegality of occupation regime, Israel was still bound by its obligations under international law as an occupying power. These obligations include ensuring the welfare of the protected civilians. Israel defied this ruling and the rule of law, brazenly declaring instead its official policy of annexing the occupied Palestinian territory, forcibly displacing Palestinian people, weaponizing food and humanitarian aid, and negating refugee issue and their rights, including by banning UNRWA. To summarize, Israel is an unlawful occupying power, standing trial for genocide. Its prime minister is wanted by the ICC. It's attempting to destroy Palestinian people and erase Palestine, including by barring and obstructing humanitarian organizations, thus also violating its obligations under the UN Charter and other instruments of international law. That is the context of the question before you. Israel's genocidal campaign has turned Gaza into the home of the largest cohort of child amputees per capita in the world. Their limbs are amputated without proper medicine or care, sometimes without so much as a painkiller. Many don't survive, like baby Sham Mharib, whose arm was amputated following a strike on her home 18 days ago. Israel's genocidal campaign has also targeted UN and other humanitarian workers and organizations in Gaza, killing over 408 UN workers, among them almost 300 UNRWA staff. They have also killed 27 Palestinian Red Crescent Society paramedics in Gaza and 113 civil defense first responders. These killings are deliberate, not accidental. This was proven repeatedly, including in January 2024, when Israeli soldiers killed 6-year-old Hind Rajab and her relatives, then murdered the Palestine Red Crescent paramedic who received permission to rescue Hind while she was still alive. It was proven once more last March when Israeli soldiers ambushed and killed 14 paramedics and humanitarian heroes. The soldiers then buried the bodies in a shallow mass grave alongside with their crushed ambulances and emergencies in an attempt to hide their crime, while top Israeli officials lied to the world about the murders. This is the jarring equation prompting our appeals to the court and these proceedings. Israel is starving, killing, and displacing Palestinians, while also targeting and blocking humanitarian organizations trying to save their lives. These grave crimes aim to hasten the forcible transfer and destruction of Palestinian people in the immediate term. They will also ensure that our children will suffer irreparable damage and harm, placing an entire generation at grave risk. Already experts have concluded that life expectancy in Gaza has been slashed in half since the onset of the genocide. Mr. President, members of the court, this targeting of life in the Gaza Strip has been ongoing for years and in grave violation of Israel's legal obligation as an occupying power and as a member of the UN. Israel began engineering food deprivation in Gaza 19 years ago, making the majority of civilian population dependent on food aid to survive. A senior Israeli official then said, and I quote, "The idea is to put the Palestinians on diet, but not to make them die of hunger." End quote. Since October 2023, the blockade has progressively turned into a total siege. The Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights said, "This siege is creating conditions that were incompatible with sustaining life or the continued existence of Palestinians in Gaza." These are the facts. Starvation is here. Humanitarian aid is being used as a weapon of war. All UN-supported bakeries in Gaza have been forced to shut their doors. 9 of every 10 Palestinians have no access to safe drinking water. Storage facilities of the UN and other international agencies are empty. More than 12,500 wounded Palestinians, including thousands of children, now require medical evacuation to have a chance at life. That is in addition to thousands of cancer and other patients dying slowly, dying in agony, and hundreds of thousands of children whose lives are in danger because Israel is denying entry of vaccines. Meanwhile, Israel continues to repeatedly, forcibly displace and starve the Palestinian population in Gaza. Israel has also waged a war on hospitals in Gaza, bombing them, laying siege to them, burning them, or leveling them to the ground. Israel has bombed and attacked all 36 hospitals in Gaza. The last hospital to be bombed was Gaza's Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital, an institution that has offered health to Palestinians since 1882. This hospital survived 2 world wars and many wars after, but Israel decommissioned it twice in the past 18 months. Israeli occupation forces have killed over 1,400 doctors, nurses, and other health workers. Some, like renowned surgeons Adnan al-Bursh and Iyad al-Rantisi, who were forcibly disappeared and tortured to death. Others, like director of Al-Awda Hospital, Dr. Ahmad Mhanna, was forcibly disappeared for over a year now, while director of Kamal Adwan Hospital, Hussam Abu Safiyi, continues to be unlawfully detained. Only a handful of hospitals continue to bravely function, thanks to the heroic Palestinian doctors who remain and the brave international doctors volunteering to assist them despite the dangers and severe Israeli restrictions. To understand what this means in real bone-chilling terms, I ask you here this brief testimony of Dr. Muhammad Mustafa, an Australian doctor who was volunteering in Gaza last March.
We've worked throughout the entire night. We haven't stopped. The bombing has been non-stop. We've run out of ketamine. We've run out of propofol. We've run out of all painkillers. We can't sedate anyone. We can't give them any analgesia. When we intubate people, they wake up and they're choking because we have no sedation. There are 7 girls getting their legs amputated, no anesthesia. The bombing is still going on. The room is still shaking. I haven't slept. We went to bed at about 1 o'clock, and at 1:30 the bombing started. It's about 10 a.m. now. I've just gone back to my room. I'm lightheaded. I'm dizzy. And I mean, it was just mostly women and children, burnt head to toe, limbs missing, heads missing.
Since the beginning of the year, Israel launched a military assault in the West Bank, unprecedented since 1967. Israeli occupation have demolished, razed and burned the refugee camps in Jenin and Tulkarem, forcibly displacing more than 40,000 Palestinians. And Israel has announced that the displaced will not be allowed to return. Mr. President, members of the court, before I stand before you today on behalf of the persecuted people fighting to survive, to live freely in our land. This is our inalienable and most fundamental right. It is not anyone to give or withhold, as this court has repeatedly affirmed. That's really the heart of why Palestine and over 40 other states are addressing the court today. It is not about the number of aid trucks Israel is or is not allowing into the occupied Palestinian territory, especially Gaza. It is not about Israel destroying it is about Israel destroying the fundamentals of life in Palestine, while it blocks UN and other humanitarians from providing life-saving aid to the population. It is about Israel unraveling fundamental principles of international law, including their obligations under the UN Charter. It is about Israel turning Palestine, in particularly Gaza, into a mass grave for Palestinians and those coming to their aid.